The property market is heating up and there's one particular project that's causing quite a stir. Here's what you need to know before it's gone. Do you know that just in the first half of 2025, there will already be more than 20 new launches that will be happening? With so many new launches this year, one wrong move can cost you big, or the right move can actually make you lots of profit. So one of my friends approached me about this one particular project that will be launching soon. And while deep diving into the project for her, I thought, well, may as well do a YouTube video on it so that you and I can both learn more about this project. So today we're going to zoom into one of these highly anticipated projects that will be launching soon, Elta at Clementi Avenue 1. So before we start, if you can help me by liking and sharing this video so more people like yourselves can benefit from it. Thank you so much. So first up, before we do this review, we're going to do it in a very different way today. Instead of going through the project's pros and cons, we will be reviewing this project using our P.I.C method. So just in case you're not aware of what is this P.I.C method. So this P.I.C method is a 7-step P.I.C checklist that Paul and I have came up with. And with these exact steps, we have actually used it and helped hundreds of our clients, including ourselves, make 6 to even 7-digit profit from property investment. If you would like to learn more about this 7-step P.I.C method, we do have a webinar that you can sign up. It is actually a very intensive 2 to 3 hour in-depth explanation on this 7-step P.I.C method and how we use it to apply to all the property cases that we deal with. So if you're interested, the links are in the comments. Alright, here's a quick run through of the 7 steps. First, we're looking at entry price. Second, rentability. Third, future transformation. Fourth, pull factors. Fifth is connectivity, accessibility, and amenities. Sixth, development review. And the last one, unit layout. So before we begin, let's do a very quick overview of Elta. So what is Elta? So Elta number 1 is a 99-year project launching in Clementi Avenue 1. The location is pretty strategic. It is located right in between Claremont and Clement Canopy, 2 other mega projects in the Clementi area. There is a total of 501 residential units. It's developed by MCL Land and CSC Land, and these are the developers behind the hugely successful Tembusu Grand, Navagrove, Twinview, just to name a few. So now let's dive into the project review using the 7-step P.I.C method. Point number 1, entry price. In our P.I.C system, the entry price is actually a pretty crucial part of it. So there is something called, one of the strategies that we use is called the base limit. So what exactly is the base limit? If you go and Google, you will not be able to find anything because it is a term that, we came up with it. So what exactly is a base limit? Base limit means buying within the limit of the recent transaction prices so that you will not be overpaying, over some hype up projects. So to determine the base limit, we need to take a look at the recent transacted new launches. So let's take a look at a few launches. Of course, back in 2023, we have the Jaden, which launched at an average of 2,478 per square foot. And not too long ago, we have Chuan Park in the OCR, transacting at an average of 2,575 PSF. And then we also have Navagrove, which launched at an average of 2,453 PSF. So these are the prices that's transacted at the OCR sector. And now let's take a look at the transacted numbers in RCR. So there are 2 new launches that were hugely successful recently. One is Emerald of Katong. I'm sure many of you heard that it's 99% sold, right? So it was transacted at average PSF of 2,621, whereas Ori at Toa Payoh was recently transacted at average of 2,704 PSF. So as you can see, based on the recent transactions, we're looking at an average PSF of about 24, 25, 26, 27, depending on which part of Singapore or which region you are in. So the indicative price for Elta, so what has been passed to us is that it will be launching about around 2005, 2006 PSF. So if you ask me if it were to be launched at this indicated expected price, my personal opinion is that it would be quite a reasonable price to enter the market because of a few factors. Number 1, and in the west part of Singapore, Clementi is actually one of the very highly sought after area estate. And number 2, past projects such as Claremont and Clement Canopy, just right next to it, have actually shown that the owners have made a lot of profit from its unit, with some owners even making up to $900,000 profit from it. So all these past transactions and all these track records show us that that is actually a very highly sought after venue and projects very likely to do well over there. So next, point number 2, rentability. So what is rentability? So rentability is of course another word I came up with, basically meaning the ability to rent out the unit. We understand that for Clementi, a lot of property buyers are actually homeowners. So basically they are buying for their own stay. But of course there will be people who are buying as an investment, they will be looking at renting out. But even for those of you who are buying for own stay, it is important to look at the rentability of a development on area. Why? Number one, the fact why is rentability important in the first place, okay? A development and an area must have its demand. If there is a lot of rentability, if the rentability is high, means it's very easy to be rented out, means that there is demand in the area, people like the area, people like the location, people like the development. And that also means that, you know, this particular development will be doing well in the future. And because people like it, there is demand, obviously the selling price will be better in the future. And this is the reason why rentability is important. So when we look at rentability, we need to, you know, figure out a few things. One of them is what we call a tenant catchment area. So where are you able to find your potential tenants, you know, in the future? So if you take a look at the map of Clementi Avenue 1, where Claremont is, and where Clement Canopy is, and where Elta is right in the middle, you will see that there are actually quite a few tenant catchment areas, you know, which means potential tenant that will be working around the area. One area will be the Jurong 2nd CBD. I'm sure many of you are aware of it. It's only about 1 stop to Jurong, 2 stops to Buona Vista, where you have your One North area where there are a lot of people working there. Over the area, you are also near NUS, NUH, the Science Park and all this, where there will be a lot of, it could be foreign students, it could be visiting professors, it could be people working there who will be looking for places to rent to stay. Apart from that, okay, the area also has 3 international schools, which is the UWC, Tanglin Trust, as well as the Dovercourt International. So these international schools, of course, the families will have to find somewhere stay that is near to the school. That could be another potential tenant pool for you as well. Now let's move on to point number 3, which is the future transformation. So when we look at an area in particular, we need to look at its future transformation, not just the ongoing current demand. What do you mean by future transformation? Well, why is future transformation important? Let's address that first, okay? When there's an area that's upcoming, the government will be pumping in money, there will be jobs created. When there are jobs created, there will be a lot of buzz, a lot of things happening around the area, it will be filled with people. So naturally, there will be demand, and there will be people who wants to live there, stay there, work there, you know, in that area. This is why we need to look at places with future transformation. And naturally, when a place is, the demand is up, property prices will go up together as well. Okay, transformation, we can look at 2 different types. One is a macro, which is a bigger scale, or one is a micro perspective, which is a smaller scale. For this Clementi area, okay, let's take a look at the macro transformation that is going to affect this Elta directly. One would be the Jurong Innovation District. I'm sure many of you have read the news about it, and you know, up to 95,000 new jobs will be created in the area itself. And number 2, we also have the Jurong Lake District, which is upcoming. You know, government is doing a lot of changes, making a lot of transformation in that area, and that area itself will create up to 100,000 jobs in the area. And of course, we also have the Greater One North area, which has already been, you know, growing rapidly over the years. And even in the news, it says that the government will be releasing new homes in that area to keep up with the demand. That also shows that that place is growing, and there will be demand for new homes around the area as well. And now let's look at the micro perspective, a smaller scale of transformation. Smaller scale of transformation, we're talking about, for example, the Cross Island Line. Cross Island Line will be launching in 2030, and it will pass by Clementi as one of the stops. So with all this upcoming transformation in the area, I'm sure you can see that there's plenty of potential in this area, despite it being in a mature estate, which is already filled with lots of amenities and facilities around there. So if you think that you are learning something, or if you think that this video is helping you, please do us a favor by helping to like and share this video, especially to your friends who is, you know, who may be looking for a home or who is interested to purchase a place in Clementi. Thank you so much. Next, point number 4, pull factors. So pull factors are important because this is what actually pull people to a certain location itself. So there are several pull factors that will bring people to a certain place. One of it, very obvious, will be schools, especially the more popular, or what, for lack of a better word, prestigious or esteemed elite schools. Statistics have shown properties that are located within 1 kilometer of very popular schools are known to do very, very well. So let's take a look at Elta and see what it is actually surrounded with, okay? So for Elta, it's actually surrounded with plenty of schools. Within 1 kilometer, there is Clementi Primary and Peitong. Unfortunately, the so-called more popular ones like Nanhua, Henry Park, and Fairfield Methodist may fall between 1 to 2 kilometer or within 2 kilometer instead. However, to make up for that, right, the Clementi location is very unique because it is not only serving, or rather it is not only served by these primary schools, it is actually surrounded by different levels of education from tertiary level onwards. For example, okay, you have your Singapore Polytechnic, you have NUS over there, you have SIT, you have the different kind of schools, plenty of secondary schools, Nanhua High, you have NUS High, and you even have like the ACJC, ACSI, as well as a lot more international schools. And these schools will attract plenty of families to live around the area, including overseas families, those that are sending their children to the different boarding school or the international schools in the area itself. Another strong pull factor to a location is actually waterfront and green spaces. So let's take a look at Elta. In Elta's location, the nearest greenery is the Ulu Pandan Park Connector, which is about a 6-minute drive, and West Coast Park, which is about 8-minute drive. Not as far, but one thing I'm sure you already know, both these two places, they are not as vibrant as compared to other waterfront living that may have plenty of dining and lifestyle options. So this is one thing we need to take note of. Point number 5, connectivity, accessibility, and amenities. When choosing a development or choosing a location, we want to be surrounded with as many amenities as possible. You name it, bus interchange, MRT stations, shopping malls, supermarkets, eateries, cafes, restaurants, lifestyle hub, for example. Okay, the more the merrier. Many studies there have also shown that properties located near to all these amenities are, the prices, the growth is actually better than those without. So let's take a look at Elta's location. Okay, so located in Clementi Avenue 1, which is a mature estate. Okay, you don't have to worry about amenities. So you have about 3 shopping malls in the area, which is Clementi Mall, 321 Clementi, as well as West Coast Plaza. A little bit further out, you can get to, Star Vista, you can get to One Holland Village. So that one is maybe another 5-minute drive more. So apart from that, you are also surrounded with plenty of eateries, supermarkets, even hawker centers and restaurants. Clementi MRT station is only a 3-minute drive away, and there is actually a shuttle bus service from Elta to the train station for the first year, or at least until the first annual general meeting, the first AGM. But let me just share with you guys a little bit. A lot of time when it comes to condo which offer shuttle bus service, majority of the residents will actually opt for the shuttle bus service to be continued because it is really very convenient for the residents, including tenants or those homeowners. At the same time, even though it is surrounded with all these amenities and all these facilities, offerings, or even convenience like train station, you must understand that Clementi, although it's located in the west side of Singapore, it's actually not too far away from town. It's less than 20 minutes drive to Orchard Road, to your CBD, which is your Tanjong Pagar. And of course, a lot of people staying in this area will naturally work in Jurong, which is a second CBD instead, or places like One North. Point 6, development review. So why is it important to look at a development itself? Sometimes you may wonder, you have 2 condos A and condo B next to each other at the same location. So why is condo A doing better than condo B? So it boils down to a few reasons. Number one of the reasons will actually be the size of the property. Okay, so what kind of size of property we need to look at? Ideally, we don't want something that is too small. For example, there are some apartments that are less than 100 units. In my personal opinion, when an apartment development is too small, there's very little supply and demand over there. And without all this supply and demand, it will not be able to push your property prices higher. So we will want a slightly bigger development. So there'll be more people selling, more people buying, therefore being able to push your transaction prices up. Then again, we don't want to look at those super big mega properties, for example, more than 2,000 units out there. Why? Because there will be a lot of people selling at the same time, and if let's say in the future, if you were to sell, you may have a lot of competitors. You may have 200 units selling at the same time, and you will not be able to get that good a price as compared to something that's not so big. So there is a sweet spot. So a sweet spot, we're looking about a development size of between 300 to 600, and Elta size of 501 units just falls nicely within this sweet spot. The second thing we want to take a look in a development review you is actually the bedroom mix. So what's the bedroom mix? Means the number of bedroom types that are available. Okay, the 1 bedder, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. What we want to avoid is, not say avoid lah, okay, but what we want to be more cautious, not to find development with a lot of very small units. There's some developments out there, they will have like, they're comprises of like 80% of 1 bedder units. For me personally, I'll be more cautious of those kind of development. Because why? The majority of the demographics of people buying homes in Singapore are families. So families, they are looking for bigger units, usually 3 bedroom and above. If let's say you are a property that only features majority 1 bedder or a few 2 bedders, you can only appeal to singles or couples or investors only. And that actually significantly reduce your pool of potential buyers in the future should you want to sell. So it's important to find a development with good bedroom mix, especially those bigger units, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom. Okay, so for Elta's one, let's take a look. Elta's one, they actually have a pretty good mix. They are comprises of about 35% 2 bedder, 21% 3 bedder, 28% 4 bedder, with the rest being 1+S and the 5 bedder. So this is a pretty good mix because it attracts mainly families, the demographics of families, which is important, the biggest, or rather the main bulk of the property buyers in Singapore. The third thing we want to look at when we review a development is facilities. Okay, so a condo must have as many usable facilities as possible. When I say usable, I don't mean like a patch, a grass patch. There are some condos that list out a lot, but you have very simple things like 1 pavilion, they call it 1 facility. Another pavilion is another facility. Some small little patch and they call that a facility. We're talking about usable facilities here. For example, gym. We're talking about swimming pools, function rooms, playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, and stuff like that. So if you look at Elta, they do have a tennis court. They have 2 function rooms, they have 2 barbecue pavilions, lap pool, family pool, kids party room, playground, gym, not bad. And even for parking, they have about 401 lots for 501 units, which is about 80%, not too bad, quite standard. So if you ask me, Elta facilities are pretty much standard, nothing much to complain about. But ideally, for unit of a size of about 500 units, I'll probably prefer maybe another pool, I don't know, maybe basketball court or another court instead of just 1 tennis court. But that's for me, my personal point of view. The last point we have, point 7, is unit layout. So what differentiates unit A and B? Sometimes you will wonder, in the same development, the same condo, why is unit A making money whereas unit B is not making money? Okay, so it boils down to a few factors. One is unit layout, the other one is view and level. So let's take a look at the unit layout for Elta and what I like about it and what I don't really like about it. The things that I like, the good points of Elta floor plan. Number 1, it is already harmonized. What do I mean by harmonized? You will no longer be charged things like aircon ledgers, window ledgers. You will not be no longer charged things like air space and that. So in the past, a lot of condos, a lot of new launch properties, they are not harmonized yet. So you are still paying for aircon ledgers, window ledgers and things like that. But now that it's harmonized, okay, so even though you may say, oh, houses are getting smaller, property sizes are getting smaller, but because it's being harmonized, the space are all usable. Unlike in the past, right, your unusable space is a lot, your aircon ledgers and your window ledgers and stuff like that, and bay windows, for example. That's one good thing about Elta, is that it's harmonized, so no space wastages and it's all usable space. Second thing I like about it is that the rooms are very squarish, and if you take a look at the 2 bedroom, for example, it is a dumbbell layout, which means the living room is in the center and then you have bedrooms on both sides of it, the right and left. This layout is actually very efficient because it eliminates the use of those long corridor walkway. So which means it makes more space is being put into your living and dining area, so it becomes more spacious even though it may appear as a smaller unit size in paper. Okay, another thing that I like is that the 2 bedroom comes with an enclosed kitchen. So in the past, a lot of 2 bedroom comes with a kitchenette, so you can't really cook. Okay, so there is an enclosed kitchen, even for the 2 bedroom. So this part, I actually quite like it. So for families, the 4 bedder comes with a storage, which you can use as a helper's room or a maid's room, which is very important for a lot of families out there. And there is also a dual key 4 bedder option. I saw the layout and it's a pretty good layout. Why so? Dual key units, right, are actually good for those 3-generation families who may want to stay with the grandmother or the grandfather, but they want to have privacy. So a dual key unit means you can have two set or separate entrance. So there is like a one bedder studio that even comes with its own kitchenette that the elderly, the grandparents can actually stay in. And then there is a three bedder on the other side, which your family can actually stay in. And that three bedder comes with a helper's room. So if you ask me, that is very good for 3-generation living if you want to maintain privacy. The other thing is for people who may want to rent out the extra spare one bedder. So what you can do is your family can be staying in the three bedder and you can rent out the one bedder out, and that rental can actually help to offset your monthly mortgage installment, which I thought for some people, you know, they may not have the ability to buy a separate property to rent it out for rental revenue, and a dual key is actually a very good alternative to that. Now let's move on to the things that I don't really like. So unfortunately, the three bedder in Elta doesn't come with a helper's room, which a lot of families will require. If let's say you're a family and you want to buy a three bedder and your helper, you may have to sacrifice one of the bedrooms for the helper as, you know, as their resting area. The other option is you can go for the 3-bedroom premium. The 3-bedroom premium actually comes with a study. So instead of calling it a 3-bedroom plus study, they call it 3-bedroom premium, and it comes with a study. And the study actually linked to the toilet in the yard and the kitchen, and that can actually be used as a helper's room. And if there's anything that I will want to nitpick on this project layout, is that for all the floor plans, okay, for all the unit types, the living and the dining area is arranged in a portrait mode. Meaning that, you know, it's the living and the dining in a straight line followed by the balcony. What's the downside of it? Okay, the downside of it is that because it's in the portrait mode, the only light source you have is from the balcony. Okay, so imagine if let's say your living and dining is a bit long, the house may appear a little bit darker as compared to what we call a landscape mode. Landscape mode means the living and dining beside each other on the landscape mode, and each has its own window or a balcony that will allow light to actually enter the house. So when it comes to a landscape floor plan layout, naturally the house will be brighter and airier. So if there's one thing I would want to pick on, would be this. However, I took a look at the 5-bedroom layout. It's much wider. Okay, even though it is still a portrait layout, it is because it's much wider. The balcony is also bigger. It allows more light to actually flow through. So the next thing we want to look when it comes to unit layout is the view and level. And obviously, we know that the higher the level, the more premium, the more expensive it will be. But the view is also important. So when it comes to level and view, right, Elta has two facing. One is the south facing, which is towards AYE, but it has an unblocked view of greenery and part of the Tuas Sea, that part. And then you also have the north facing, which also unblocked because, very interestingly, because Elta is located right between Claiborne and Clement Canopy, there's this pocket in between where there is no HDB flats. It's actually on top of a school. So that is actually the view of the north facing. It's also unblocked on top of the schools. So which is actually the better view? So we understand that the south facing faces AYE. So the developer has actually installed acoustic panel and acoustic blinds to actually block off majority of the sound. Another good thing is that the entire development, Elta, has been raised 4-story higher. So the first unit will start from 4-story onwards. And because the whole development has been raised, you are not exactly facing the expressway itself, you will be higher. So after sharing with you, this project review of Elta using our 7-step P.I.C system, what do you think of the project? Let me know in the comments below. But personally, my personal take is that I feel that Elta is a project worth checking out based on two very simple reasons. Number one, its direct neighbor, Claiborne and Clement Canopy, has already shown great results. Okay, the track records with the owners making a lot of profit up to $900,000. Number two, Clementi is known to have a lot of $1 million HDB flats. If people are willing to pay $1 million for a 4-bedroom flat, they will be able to pay a lot more for a condominium. So naturally, there will be a huge pool of upgraders and potential home buyers in the future. So before we go, I just want to share with you that the preview for Elta is from 7 to 18 of February, and the booking date is stated to be on the 22nd of February. So if you are interested to take a look at the show flat or to attend the preview, do feel free to give us a call. Just hit us up and our team will get in touch with you. So before you leave, don't forget to like, share and press the bell button so you receive notification of our latest videos. I will see you next time. Bye bye.